Kia ora, and welcome back to the Navigating Breath podcast with your host, myself, John Van Heunen. And today's episode, I would like to discuss energy clearing because it's something that I've focused on before when I've spoke about facilitators and working with people who work with energies, but I feel that it's something that the general public can really benefit from understanding as well, because we often find ourselves in places where we are in amongst energies that maybe don't feel that good, and we can tell. People will say things like, "Oh, the place just felt a bit gross," or "I felt a bit weird about being there," or "that person felt a certain way," and I think we potentially overlook that as our intuition telling us that there's something there that we need to be cautious of. And so I thought it would be cool to just expand on that and maybe give some tips and tricks for ways to avoid, allowing those energies to affect us. Because, I can speak from personal experience. Recently I was on a building site where I was feeling great, and then I started working there for a few days, and all of a sudden I was just not myself, and I wasn't in a good mood, and I was snappy and this and that. And when I really sat with it, I realized that it wasn't me at all, but it was whatever I was picking up on that was affecting me as a person being in that space for a period of time. And yes, then I've had to develop tools to support myself being in those locations, because we do still have to get out into the world, and we can't hide away from it. So yeah, it's just about knowing when to bring these things into play. And I think probably the first one that comes to mind is for protecting your own energy is just to call on the support of those different frequencies of light. And that may sound a bit esoteric for some of you, but bear with me. I've definitely felt the benefit of it, and maybe if we go through a quick little practice, you too can allow yourself to feel or notice the difference in your own energy once you feel you've been protected by those energies. So yeah, there's those energetic frequencies that we can use. We can play with light. So maybe if it's available to you, or at a later date, you could just close down your eyes, or just keep this in mind for later. It's a very simple, short practice. But essentially it's going to close down our eyes, and we're going to take a few breaths together, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Just allowing ourselves to ground ourselves. And then we're going to imagine a golden white light on to the left of our head, and then one to the right, then one above our head to create that triangle, and then imagining a golden white light in the center of our forehead. And then while you're doing that, just breathing, and then imagining that golden white light expanding and covering your entire body, protecting you. And maybe at this time you'd like to call in a guide to protect you. And those that come to mind for me are, of course, Archangel Michael, or maybe there's some other that are relevant to you. Freya is another really powerful protective force. But even just that simple light technique, and whenever you're ready, just coming back and blinking your eyes open, coming back into the space. But yeah, a simple practice like that is a really good way just to protect ourselves as we go out into the world. Or sometimes I use it for sleeping as well, because when we're floating about astrally, we can absorb things. The other way that comes to mind is doors. We have doors in our houses, and we probably overlook the influence of the esoteric nature of them. You know, they're portals to different spaces. So we can use our front door of our house or wherever we're staying as a bit of a portal. If we're stepping into it or out of it, we can imagine ourselves stepping through that golden white light and it cleansing us as we enter or protecting us as we exit. It's just another nice, easy practice that we can instigate in daily life, and it doesn't have to take long, right? It's just about making sure we have these protection mechanisms in place. And then of course there's the plants, like there's sage and palo santo, which we can burn, which which help to protect us. More so, I think, from my understanding, sage is a protectant, and then we have palo santo, which clears all the energy and completely clears the space. But the most important thing to remember is to do it with a window open if you're going to use those sorts of things, because, and I say it quite a lot, if you're going to clear something, it has to be able to go somewhere, and if you keep it locked in the house, it can't get out, and it's just going to stick around. So yeah, having fresh air circulating when you're doing these things is super important. Yeah, we can also, I haven't done it, but I know that there's certain, like Cody gum is one you can burn as well. Not that that's so easy to come by. It's a type of tree. And, there's other plants like rosemary as well, from my understanding. That's quite a cleansing plant too. The other one that's really beneficial for me that I find is water. Just either having a little bottle of spring water, or even just tap water that you've set the intention that this water is going to be cleansing and clearing. We have, some of you may have seen the research of Veda Austin and the likes of Pamela Gregory, where they're really investigating the powers of just setting an intention in water and how that can completely restructure it. So just having a little bottle of water you can squirt on yourself. I know personally I can feel the difference in my energy when I do this. And to extend on that, swimming in these open bodies of water as well can be hugely beneficial. We're jumping in the ocean, and there's all these negative ions within that space that are cleansing the positive ions out of our body. That, and yeah, being in just moving bodies of natural water is a powerful practice, but obviously I understand that it's not super accessible to everyone. And I guess in the same vein of that, we can talk about going into nature, or even just putting our feet on the grass, on the ground outside, and imagining the energy that's within us releasing back to source, back to the center of the earth, whatever you want to call it, back to be transmuted for the highest good. And we can also use fire as a method of shifting that energy. It's a alchemical process, that turning something into something else. So fire can be another way we can shift and transmute that energy. Essentially, we just want to find ways that resonate with us, that we can use to transmute these energies. I think the most easy and accessible ways are with using whatever color light suits, feels in alignment to you. Maybe that is golden light, maybe it's white light, maybe violet is another very popular one, or just finding a frequency of light that works well for you, and imagining yourself being absorbed and wrapped in it to be protected. And of course, setting intention, super important. Burning those plants and water are probably the most easily accessible methods of protecting your energy. And yeah, I would recommend doing it every time you leave the house, or even within your house if you've got maybe you live in a share house or whatever, or a flat, whatever you want to call it, depending on where you live in the world. And there's certain energies within that space that don't feel in alignment or make you feel a certain way, and you can protect yourself from that by using these simple practices. But yeah, I would really recommend if possible to just get out and swim in the ocean as much as you can, because that is like no other as a way of transmuting and clearing energies. I remember I was just talking to a friend this morning about how I went to somewhere a few months back, and I was kind of in one of those healing, well, healing's a loose term, one of those spiritual hubs where all sorts of different healers are coming from different avenues and offering their services. And I was just kind of wandering through there. I wanted to catch up with a friend who was working there, and as I was leaving, I just felt this tingling discomfort, uncomfortable sense that something wasn't quite right in my body. And so I just went straight to the ocean and jumped in and cleared whatever that was, because yeah, I know that I know that the ocean has the power to do these sorts of things and relieve and release these sorts of energies. And maybe the idea of energies is a bit too foreign, but maybe you can feel the way, in your mood and the way you approach life. Maybe there's just, you're feeling great and all of a sudden you don't feel that good, and you can't really put a pin on it as to what may have caused it. And yeah, potentially that's what it is. So I highly recommend giving it a try, even if it is just with some water with intention and spraying yourself with it to cleanse you, or yeah, if you have sage or any of those sorts of things accessible to you. But yeah, if you found this beneficial, I actually have a cord cutting meditation which takes you even deeper into this practice on YouTube, which is www.youtube.com/@navigatingbreath, one word. Yeah, it's on there, so that might be beneficial. But yeah, if you found this helpful at all, then yeah, please share or comment or like or do the things that help it reach the wider community. I would really appreciate that. And yeah, once again, wishing you all a blessed and beautiful day.